Hey there, Internet. Felix Finch here, and welcome to Underground Lucha Things, the Lucha Underground Retrospective, where somebody, despite being immersed in wrestling for the past decade, somehow let this pass me by. But you know what? As I experienced this for the first time, every journey needs a guide, and joining me from the Isle of Hawaii, from Midcard Mana, the one, the only, Angie FN. Angie, how are you doing today?
Bang bang, I am good. Thank you so much again for having me on this underground lucha journey.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. As we talk about episode 27, Ancient Medallions from May 13th, 2015, we start the episode with Dario at Matanza's cell, and he says that he spent their dad's fortune on 7 medallions that must be united to create a powerful warrior. So, does Dario have the Infinity Stones? I don't know. Honestly, the medallion, just hearing about 7 medallions kind of reminds me of. There used to be a show called WMAC Masters. I think you can find it on YouTube, but it was like if Mortal Kombat was pro wrestling. Every person had like an emblem that represented their character, and to challenge for the like championship, you had to collect all of them. You had to like beat everybody for their medallion to put it into this belt to be able to challenge. Like if I remember correctly, it was something like that. It was a really cool concept, and I've never seen anything like it since. I need to. I think one of these days we're gonna take an episode to just show you an episode of that to find out what you think, because this will have been something I've seen that I don't know if you've ever heard of. Have you ever heard of WMAC Masters?
I have heard of it. I've never seen it, but I have heard about it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, like I said, that's what this medallion thing is reminding me of just off the bat. That's what I'm thinking of. But enough about the medallions. Let's go to the first match. Aerostar versus Jack Evans. You know what? Aerostar may have lost the best of 5 series, but he kept his job.
Yeah, so maybe the real winner overall.
Yeah, it's like I think I'd rather keep employment, but we have the debuting Jack Evans. So
Yeah.
with this, I'm curious if we'll get to see him and Angelico hook up at some point, because I know that they're together as the Hybrid 2 now in AEW, but I don't know if they have a history together or if they just haven't signed together. But both of them, both Aerostar and Jack Evans, are quite flighty, using the entirety of the ring to show off and even the outside of the ring quite easily. And Jack Evans eventually starts playing the cocky heel, even being referred to as Gringo by commentary. And there was some great grappling from him too, which I honestly was not expecting. Because when I think of Jack Evans, I do not think of mat wrestling, but I shouldn't have been surprised. He's from the dungeon, as they mentioned so many times in this commentary. He is a product of the Heart Dungeon, and it's weird because I can't tell whether or not this match. This sounds like criticism. It's not. I cannot tell whether this match is getting a lot of time or not, because it feels like a lot is happening, but the match does not feel long. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
That is really good utilization of time. Jack Evans misses a 450, and Aerostar can't quite capitalize. He's very slow to get to the top rope. And despite this, Aerostar is able to deliver a top rope Canadian Destroyer to get the pin on Jack Evans, while the crowd is appropriately chanting, "Holy shit." So, yeah, I very much enjoyed this opener. I think this is one of the best opening matches we've had in several weeks.
Yeah. And for this being Jack Evans' first introduction to the Lucha Underground Temple of Believers, what a great showing for him. They're usually really good at hyping up the newcomers to the temple, making them feel significant and making them feel very talented, so that this match really helped to, I think, hype him up in here. And hopefully this won't be the last we see of Jack Evans. Hopefully we see much, much more of him to come. And like how you mentioned, is this possibly where we will get to eventually see Angelico and Jack Evans start to team up? They are currently a tag team in AEW. Is this where the seeds were planted for that? Who knows?
Yeah, and speaking of tag teams, we have the Mac backstage interrupting Big Rick in the locker room as he's counting his money. And Big Rick seems to be a bit bitter about not winning those trios titles. And he does focus on making money while he can. And even states that, for the right amount of money, he'd whip his own family's ass. And he keeps referring to the Mac as cousin, so this is clearly a message being sent. And this leads into our next match, which is a 7-way. Just 7 luchadors need to be in the ring for some reason. It's Killshot, Cage, Pentagon Jr., King Cuerno, and Felix are already in the ring. The only 2 people that get an entrance, Sexy Star and the Mac. And as everyone's in the ring, Dario Cueto comes out saying that the winner will earn one of the 7 medallions in his possessions to become a step closer to immortality, which, again, I don't know what this means, but this is interesting. The ring quickly clears out till we have Felix and Pentagon in the ring while everyone kind of waits on the outside selling once more competitors get into the ring, we get to see the power of Cage and Cuerno, as well as the athleticism of Killshot and the Mac. And anytime there's more than 3 people in the ring, there's absolute chaos all around, with multiple chances for pins going around. And later in the match, Pentagon goes to break the arm of Felix, but Sexy Star makes the save before Pentagon hits her with, I think, a rib breaker. Felix takes advantage of the opportunity to hit Pentagon with a moonsault for the win and get one of those Aztec medallions. Like I said, one of my big criticisms on this match before you go, God, this one had so much selling on the outside, so much of, okay, you guys are doing something, I'm just going to be out here catching my breath.
Not to criticize their production crew, but it just seemed much more obvious than it usually does when you have those multiple man matches, when everyone when the ring gets cleared out and nobody's pinned or eliminated, but it's just the two guys going in the ring. I don't know how this managed to feel more intentional, that this is their spotlight focus, everybody else is just sort of waiting for their cue to enter again. But it's kind of what it came across as. A cool concept for a match, though, to earn a medallion that brings them one step closer to immortality. Phoenix, of course, being a Phoenix, already having some level of immortality in his gimmick and in his name. So interesting to see where this will lead.
Yeah, and like you said, I think one of the main reasons that it is so obvious is because of how many people were in this match. Like, in a 3 or 4 person match, it's easy to forget about the 1 or 2 people on the outside. But when there's 7 people and you see 5 people around the ring in every shot, yeah, that totally makes a difference. We, though, go back to Dario's office and we have the Trios champions together. And because Mr. Cisco and Castro beat Son of Havoc and Angelico last week, they are getting a shot at the championship. And Ivelisse, even though she is one-legged right now, she says she only needs her hands to whip them. But next week she will need her legs because it's going to be a ladder match. Unless they want to save some embarrassment and just have the titles vacated now. And we then jump to the locker room once again. Felix is in there, and it looks like this is after his match, I assume, but it looks like he's putting on his gear. I don't know quite what the chronology of events is here, but But the lights go out, and a singular light turns on, and suddenly it's Katrina appearing under that singular light, and she says that Phoenix fell right into her trap when he buried Mill, giving up his power of 1,000 lives and allowing Mill to be reborn stronger than ever before. And she says that he is just a pawn, and he grabs her, but as he grabs her, she disappears, and some sudden skeleton minion luchadors pop up slowly and I guess attack him before a commercial. I guess there's a putty patrol out here. I don't know what's happening. This was a weird segment, both in chronology and in content.
Yes, but now we are given further insight as to what Katrina's plans were. You know, she was playing Phoenix, so definitely brings everything into a different perspective now. And moving forward, it'll be interesting to see, will that dynamic change? Maybe, you know, in wearing the mask, she becomes the mask and starts to feel pity for Phoenix. Maybe this is all just a clever ruse from Mil Muertes and Katrina the Bruja. So who knows? Who knows moving forward? But I am once again invested in this story. So they've succeeded.
And like I said, it was something that I've been curious about. I've mentioned like where the Katrina, and we're starting to see more. And her sudden heel turn is kind of interesting. But it's time for our main event. Alberto El Patron versus Hernandez for the actual #1 contendership for the Lucha Underground title. And El Patron is serious about this match. He starts out with no shirt. He is shirtless from the get-go. So this is also probably the most grounded fight we've seen tonight. Both guys being more traditional wrestlers, and they're not being a gimmick to this, opposed to your younger high flyers or your 7-man from earlier. So this is a real traditional match. Alberto looks ready to stick the armbar on Hernandez, but Johnny Mundo comes out to interfere, beating down El Patron and throwing him through the window. There's no DQ here, apparently, but he throws him through the window of Dario's office, and he just is sitting there for a long time, which, by the way, the location of Dario's office and the setup of it is making me really question a lot of things that have happened in the show when we see like where the windows look out to versus where the windows should look out to based on the office itself. But let's just forget that right now. Let's not worry about the fantasy layout of the architecture of the temple, or like where the hallways have been in previous episodes, or how he's looked from window to window despite there not being a window. That I don't know. But anyway,
a mystical place, man. It's Eldritch architecture. It's a mystical place.
The temple designed by MC Escher, who knows? But Johnny Mundo throws Alberto El Patron back into the ring, allowing Hernandez to get the pin on a bloodied El Patron. And as the EMT crew comes out to attend to El Patron, Mundo soaks in the ire of the crowd, who are chanting, but I can't tell what they're chanting. When we go off the air, Hernandez is once again your #1 contender. Angie, let me know what you thought of this match and the show.
Definitely very surprising for Hernandez to get this win, especially because like how you mentioned at the beginning of this match, El Patron came out without a shirt. He was serious. When I first watched this match, and even when I watched it again because I forgot who won, I was like, oh man, this must be where Patron must win here. And they're going to delay the Hernandez feud a little bit longer. But no, it was definitely a surprise with Johnny Mundo coming out as well to cost him the match. Possible turn there. So definitely I felt a very compelling main event with the outcome and how it affects everyone's perception of each of these three guys now, Hernandez, El Patron, and Johnny Mundo. I liked this episode as a whole. I like the kitschy sort of we're fighting for a medallion, which is gonna change the course of your destiny and get you a step closer to immortality. I like the stuff with Katrina, possibly because she's Hawaiian and I feel that kinship, but also I think the whole storyline with Katrina, Mil Muertes, and Phoenix is such a great and interesting storyline that has been able to pull me back in time and time again. So I appreciate it. And then just getting to see Jack Evans' debut on Lucha Underground. Good times all around.
Hey, I did not know Katrina was Hawaiian. So, so she like from Hawaii? Is she a Hawaiian wrestler or?
I don't think she performed here, but she's native Hawaiian.
Oh, okay. Again, was not aware of this, so that is a cool fact, and I can see why you feel that kinship. Uh, Again, very cool match. Very cool show. I again have to criticize that multi-man because that was a very blatant. Let's wait and let the guys in ring feature themselves. But Aerostar versus Jack Evans, absolutely loved everything that was going on in that match. Thought it was outstanding. Thought it was great. Sorry, I'm gonna start that part over again. But Aerostar versus Jack Evans, absolutely loved that match. Thought it was great. Thought it was one of the biggest bangers we've had so far. And interesting having Hernandez go for the title because I guess now we get Patron versus Mundo as a proper program and a proper feud, which allows them to kind of build a star in Hernandez because despite Hernandez being known from TNA before this, he wasn't known as a single star. Maybe this is his chance to get that singles cred. But that's at least my thoughts on the show. But Angie, let everybody know where they can find you.
All right, I'm part of two shows over here in Hawaii. The first one being Midcard Mana, and that is based on the Big Island. And we talk a little bit more about broader themes in wrestling, certain news stories or controversies that come up. And then I'm also part of Valley Owl Collective's Ringside, which is done with the Nerdwatch guys over on Maui Island. And we talk a little bit more about the goofier side of wrestling, favorite entrance theme, what would our finisher be, stuff like that.
And if you're watching the video, then obviously you can find me here at youtube.com/FriscoFlame. You can find me at twitter.com/FriscoFlame, twitter.com/FelixFinch. You can go to FriscoFlame.com, get my shirts. You can go to Etsy, look up Frisco Flame. I have pins, many pins, many pins. And you can just listen to us on your favorite podcast app by looking up Underground Lucha Things or find us on Twitter at Lucha Things Pod. But you know what? For Angie, for myself, peace out, party peoples. We will see you next time with more Underground Lucha Things.
Amen.